Hello and welcome to New Mexico Rising. My name is Mandy, and here on this show, every week we interview some awesome people from around the country to bring you lifestyle tips, tricks, and more. And this week we have this.
One of the great things about being an actor is that you are challenged by new things all the time. You know, so often the character will do something that you have no idea how to do, and suddenly you'll find yourself taking piano lessons, or learning how to rock climb, or doing something completely different.
A Sea of Lights Enchanted Christmas is going to bring the aquarium to an all-new glow holiday adventure, connecting people to conservation.
We are selecting 5 regional winners from across the country, and each one of them, if they win this contest, will receive $40,000 in local marketing, $10,000 in cash, and then a year of free payroll services from Gusto.
The American Heart Association recommends at least 150 minutes per week of some form of moderate exercise. That could include walking at a very brisk pace. They also recommend eating very clean and healthy food.
On average, retirees are going to pay $172,500 in out-of-pocket healthcare expenses.
All that and more on New Mexico Rising.
Have you ever gotten a strange message claiming to be from your bank? I know I have. Scams are on the rise and they're costing families billions. The American Bankers Association is trying to stop that with 2 new campaigns. Hashtag Banks Never Ask That and hashtag Practice Safe Checks, teaching people how to spot a scam before it happens. Joining us is Paul Denda, Executive Vice President for Risk, Fraud and Cybersecurity at the ABA. Welcome, Paul.
Hi, Abby. Thanks for having me.
Paul, scams seem to be everywhere these days. Which ones are showing up most often right now?
You know, a lot of times we see exactly what you talked about, that imposter scam, where they pretend to be your bank or pretend to be the government or pretend to be a retailer. They'll send you a text message or they'll call you. And what we find is they're leveraging technology to gain your trust. They can spoof that number on your caller ID, so it might even say your bank name and number. They might have bought your information on the dark web so that when they call, they might know your name. They might know your address. They might even know the last 4 of your social, so they can sound really convincing. And once they've convinced you and gain your trust, they then try and get your security information. They try to get your security credentials. They try and have you make a payment and then try and get into your bank account to hack your account and steal your money.
And what are some easy to spot warning signs that something might not be real?
Sure. A lot of times there's a sense of urgency. They want you to act and not think. So maybe some of your viewers have gotten that toll text scam, right? And they say, oh, you didn't pay this toll. If you don't pay immediately, you're going to lose your license. Or a family member might be in trouble. You need to send money right away or they're going to go to jail. So that sense of urgency is really key. The other is secrecy. Some of these scams take a long time. It might be an investment scam or a romance scam. Don't tell anyone about this. They wouldn't understand. They try and keep it secret. So if it's a secret, it's a scam. And lastly, if someone's reaching out to you out of the blue, whether it's through a text or a phone call, and then wants to ask you to confirm details, wants to ask you what your PIN number is or your debit card number is or your security credentials, that's a scam. Bank will never ask you out of the blue to do that. Only if you've initiated contact and you know who you're talking to should you give out that information.
And can you share a few examples of what a bank would never ask for in a text, email, or call?
Sure. So we're trying to educate consumers through a humorous campaign. So we start with something like, would we ever ask you, do you wear boxers or briefs? Would we ever ask you, do you believe in aliens? No. Is a bank ever going to call you and ask for your debit card PIN number? No. Is a bank going to call you and ask you to confirm your debit card details or provide your username and password? No. Banks aren't going to ask you that. Again, only if you've called and you know exactly who you're talking to, should you ever give out the private information.
Even though fewer people write checks, check fraud has gone up. How can we keep our checks from being stolen or copied?
Yeah, unfortunately, check fraud has gone up a lot. So just like banksneveraskthat.com, you go to practicesafechecks.com where we've got some tips in there. So use a gel pen, so that way it's harder for the criminals to wash your name off that check or wash your intended recipient. Track those checks. If you give someone a check, make sure you know when it gets deposited, make sure it's deposited for the right amount. And if your bank shares images of those checks, make sure the right person signed the back of that check of who you intended. And lastly, if you have to mail a check, go to your post office. Don't go down to the end of your driveway and put it in the mailbox and put that steal me flag up. Criminals drive around neighborhoods looking for that flag so they can steal the mail, steal your check, and cash it themselves.
And if someone thinks they've been scammed, what is the first thing they should do?
Well, the first thing, especially if they sent any kind of money or done any kind of transaction, is call your bank or call your credit card company. They might be able to stop that transaction. They might be able to get that money back. We also recommend you file with the FBI through the Internet Crime Complaint Center, ic3.gov. And lastly, it's always helpful if you can get a local police report. That way you've got a record of it, and if there's any type of investigation or you file any type of insurance claim, you've got that police report to rely on.
And where can people go to learn more about staying safe?
We'd hope they'd check out our campaigns. So go to banksneverasked.com. We've got some funny videos there. We've got a scam quiz. You can test your knowledge, compete with your family over Thanksgiving. Or if you're still writing checks, and we'd really hope you'd use electronic payments instead, go to practicesafechecks.com and you get more tips there.
Paul, I learned a lot today, so thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Small businesses keep our community strong, from the family cafe down the street to the new startup opening its doors. And now there's a national program recognizing all that heart and hard work. Joining us is Matalone, Head of Small Business Communications and Advocacy at Gusto, to share how the Gusto Impact Awards are celebrating the small business boom across the country. Hi, Caitlin, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on.
We've seen so many new small businesses pop up this year. What does that say about the state of the entrepreneurship right now?
Well, we're really seeing a surge in entrepreneurship, and I would even say it's a new era of entrepreneurship. 5 million small businesses got their start in the last year alone. And so when I think about what that says about the state of small business, what I'd say is there's nothing small about small business. Small businesses play a huge impact on our lives, on the community, on the economy. And in fact, there's 33 million small businesses across the US, which is 99% of companies nationwide. And so I really think the future of business in the US is small.
And small businesses do more than just create jobs. They bring people together. How is Gusto seeing that impact in the communities nationwide?
You know, I think if you were to just walk down the street and really ask anyone you meet about a small business that touched their lives or created impact in their communities, I would venture to guess that most people would be able to pinpoint one right away, whether it's the coffee shop around the corner where the barista knows your order by heart, or local art gallery that's giving up-and-coming artists their first big breaks. I think Gusto feels, and I certainly do, that small businesses are the backbone of our communities and the economy, and we've got to have their backs.
Tell us about the Gusto Impact Awards. What are they all about, and how can business owners apply?
Yes. So Gusto, by way of background, enables 400,000 small businesses across the country to pay, insure, provide benefits for their employees. And the Gusto Impact Awards are really a way for us to celebrate the small businesses across the country who are doing such incredible work in their communities. Applications are actually open right now at gusto.com/win. And the application window closes on November 21st. So you have a little bit of time to get those applications in. The application itself takes about 15 minutes, and small business owners can tell us all about their founding stories, their journeys, the customers they serve, and the impact that they're making. And then from that national pool of applicants, we pick 5 regional winners across the country.
And what do the winners receive? And how has this program helped local entrepreneurs in the past?
Yes, let's talk about the good stuff. So we are selecting 5 regional winners from across the country, and each one of them, if they win this contest, will receive $40,000 in local marketing, $10,000 in cash, and then a year of free payroll services from Gusto. And yes, we have seen the impact of these impact awards firsthand. A previous winner actually used the winnings to open their second retail location. So it's really exciting. We can't wait to get to know this year's applicants, and we look forward to hearing all about their stories and the incredible work they're doing in their communities.
And that's incredibly helpful. And one more time, for anyone who wants to get involved or learn more, where should they go?
Gusto.com/win.
Caitlin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Ever feel overwhelmed choosing your health benefits this time of year? You're not alone, especially with healthcare costs on the rise. But there's one option that can make a big difference long term: a health savings account, or HSA. It's more than just a savings account. It can actually help you plan for future medical expenses and retirement. Joining us is Andrew Atkins, Vice President and Financial Consultant with Fidelity Investments, to break down how HSAs work and why they could be a smart move for families. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you so much for having me.
A lot of people are choosing their 2026 health benefits right now. What should they keep in mind when comparing their options?
Yes, healthcare and insurance is one of the most important selections that we're going to make during that annual enrollment season. There's a few things that ought to be considered. So number one would be coverage. Just looking back to make sure that prior choices have been enough for you and your family. Two is, of course, costs, and those premiums are important, but also compare co-payments, deductibles, and the out-of-pocket maximums as well. A third would be providers. Be sure that the providers that you need are in network and available to you. And then lastly is that plan type. Here's where we get into a little bit of that alphabet soup. So you have your HMOs, your PPOs, your high deductible plans. Understanding those can be crucial. And I often suggest that folks that have a high deductible plan that is right for them and their family, that they consider pairing that with this HSA to really supercharge the benefits you get.
And for anyone who hasn't heard much about them, what exactly is an HSA and who can open one?
Absolutely. So an HSA or health savings account is simply a tax-advantaged account to pay for medical expenses either now or in the future. And those tax advantages are really second to none. So a great way to remember them is tax-free times 3. That means that your contributions are going to go in pre-tax. Those funds can be invested and actually grow tax deferred. And then lastly, whether it's now or in the future, you can pull that money out tax-free for qualified medical expenses. So to be eligible, you simply need to be enrolled in a high deductible health plan, either through your employer or the open market.
There's something called the Triple Tax Plan Advantage, right? And can you explain what that means and why it's such a big benefit?
Absolutely. So it's rare to find an account that checks all three of those boxes. So the Triple Tax Advantage is one, contributions are tax-free. So you get a tax break when those monies go into the account. Two, it's those funds actually can grow tax deferred. And then three, they can actually come out completely tax-free. So those three things provide that unique advantage that other accounts do not.
And your research shows that Gen Xers haven't thought about their post-retirement healthcare needs. How can an HSA help them prepare?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, Fidelity recently did an estimate and determined that on average, retirees are going to pay $172,500 in out-of-pocket healthcare expenses. And that's above and beyond what Medicare would pay for. So tax advantage HSA dollars can be especially valuable as part of that financial plan. And there's a few things that I think are really important to consider in regards to the features and some misconceptions. So number one, an HSA is not an FSA or flexible spending account. You never have to worry about losing those contributions. It's always yours, whether you leave your job or you retire. Also, remember that qualified medical expenses is actually going to cover so much more than a lot of folks think. Of course, you have your co-payments, you have your dental and vision, and those are covered, but everyday items like sunscreen and even over-the-counter medications can be used as well. In fact, the HSA is really for the whole family. So if your spouse needs a new pair of glasses, if you have braces for your kids, or even just an overdue trip to the chiropractor, all of those things are going to help provide what you need. So it's flexible for the savings that you need in the near term, but it can actually be a really unique long-term plan to help cover the costs of retirement.
And for anyone interested in learning more or starting an SHA or an HSA, where should they go?
Yes, and I hope you would. There's a ton of information on our website, which is fidelity.com/myHSA.
Andrew, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Nearly half of adults in the United States have high blood pressure, and many don't even know it. The American Heart Association and the American College of Cardiology just released a new high blood pressure guideline offering important updates for everyone, especially women. Joining us today is Dr. Rachael M. Bond, an American Heart Association volunteer expert, to share what women need to know at every stage of life. Welcome to the show, Dr. Bond. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
The American Heart Association recently released a new high blood pressure guideline. What do people need to know about it?
Yeah, so the American Heart Association and the American College of Cardiology did release a new blood pressure guideline. Things that have not changed are how we define high blood pressure. First step is understanding what's normal blood pressure. So normal blood pressure is usually anything less than 120/80. Anything above that is elevated up until we get to the first stage of high blood pressure. Those are numbers above 130/80. And then the second stage, that's usually above 140/90. The higher our blood pressure is, the higher our risk of heart disease. And why this is so critical, it's unfortunate that when it comes to high blood pressure, a lot of times there are no warning signs. There's no signs and symptoms. It's very silent. So the only way for you to understand if you have elevated blood pressure or high blood pressure is to go to the doctor and get your blood pressure checked on a regular basis.
And let's talk about blood pressure and pregnancy. What should women know during that stage of life?
One thing that the guidelines wanted to highlight was that there are different stages in a woman's life that can actually impact their blood pressure and their overall cardiovascular health. One of those stages is during pregnancy. Pregnancy, for all intents and purposes, is a female's first stress test. With the hormonal changes, a lot of times that could negatively impact their blood pressure. And if you are a patient that during your pregnancy develops high blood pressure, you're at about a 2 to 4 times greater risk of having high blood pressure outside of the pregnancy, and a 2 to 4 greater risk of having cardiovascular disease outside of the pregnancy. A lot of times that could occur up to several decades after the delivery. So having those conversations with your physician and healthcare professional about your pregnancy risks as well as your more traditional risk factors can really help in the management strategies.
And what actions can women take to help minimize their risks?
So there are several. The first one is being active. We know that the American Heart Association recommends at least 150 minutes per week of some form of moderate exercise. That can include walking at a very brisk pace. They also recommend eating very clean and healthy food, limiting saturated fat, processed foods, foods that are rich in salt or sodium, and replacing that with things like healthy fats such as olives and olive oil, and also whole grain. They also talk quite a bit about sleep. When we think about sleep, we need to ensure we're getting at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep per night. And the last thing that's so important is making sure that we're getting our numbers regularly checked. Blood pressure, cholesterol, our blood sugar, and we're also addressing with our physician what our weight is and if our weight is appropriate for our height.
So what are some simple steps anyone can start taking today to help better manage their blood pressure?
There are so many easy steps, many of which I had already listed, but I would say the easiest really is if we have an opportunity to get up and be active, let's do that. As I mentioned, that moderate exercise includes walking. So maybe using the stairs at work. If we're using public transportation, getting off at a stop a little earlier than where we normally do to encourage ourselves to get those steps in. And something also very simple is just making those minor adjustments to our nutrition as well as our overall lifestyle.
And Dr. Bond, where can our viewers go for more information?
So the American Heart Association has several websites. One of them is heart.org, and the other one is goredforwomen.org/high blood pressure. And that's really going to hone in on high blood pressure both during pregnancy and outside of pregnancy as it pertains to women's cardiovascular health.
I want to thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you so much.
Ever wish the holidays felt a little more magical and maybe meaningful? This year, America's #1 aquarium is lighting up the season with an immersive experience that shines a spotlight on conservation. We're joined by Misty Mitchell, Director of Conservation and Education Programs at Johnny Morris Wonders of Wildlife National Museum and Aquarium, live from Springfield, Missouri. Welcome to the show, Misty. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
No, I'm excited about aquariums, especially for the holidays. You're joining us live from this brand new holiday lights experience. What inspired Sea of Lights Enchanted Christmas?
Yeah, Sea of Lights Enchanted Christmas was inspired by Johnny Morris, his passion for connecting people to nature and the outdoors. Johnny Morris is the founder of Bass Pro Shops and a leading conservationist. As part of the Johnny Morris Conservation Foundation, we are dedicated to providing conservation outdoor experiences and connecting to the next generation of outdoorsmen. Sea of Lights Enchanted Christmas is going to bring the aquarium to an all-new glow holiday adventure, connecting people to conservation.
So what can guests expect to see on this journey? Are there any standout moments that we shouldn't be missing?
Yes, guests can expect to see and experience dazzling lights like you see behind me. You're going to hear festive music and holiday scenes throughout the entire aquarium tour, but you're also going to connect to conservation. The exhibit we can see today is Shipwreck, and you're going to see the neon corals. You're going to see the illuminated stingrays. And this is just one of 12 different exhibits that you're going to experience and really enjoy and learn about conservation. Here, we're going to learn about protecting marine habitats and the importance of artificial reefs.
And keep mentioning conservation. How does this event bring that mission to life, and why is that message so important right now?
Through our AZA accreditation, our immersive exhibits, our partnerships with leading conservation organizations, and hands-on educational programs. We are dedicated to conservation. It's our #1 mission. And the Sea of Lights Enchanted Christmas connects our guests with our conservation. These are our successful conservation initiatives like our Sea Turtle Research and Rehabilitation Center and our programs, local and regional stream team cleanups and habitat restoration programs.
That is awesome. Where can our families go for tickets, hours, and maybe some more details?
Yes, to learn more and to buy tickets, you're going to go to wondersofwildlife.org/seasons. We hope to see every single one of you here at Wonders of Wildlife in Springfield, Missouri, celebrating the holiday season with us.
That sounds like a fun little trip. Thanks for joining us today, Misty.
Thank you, and have a Merry Fishmas.
Oh, you killed it. All right, you win. You win with that. Thank you. Have you ever dreamed of cruising with a little Hollywood flair? This one's for you. Princess Cruises just held a star-studded naming ceremony for its newest ship, the Star Princess, featuring none other than Camilla and Matthew McConaughey as godparents. From Sheryl Crow's live performance to a drone show lighting up the Florida sky, it was a night to remember. Here's a look. It was a night of music, lights, and a little bit of movie magic as Princess Cruises celebrated the official naming of its newest ship, the Star Princess, at Port Everglades in Fort Lauderdale. Grammy-winning artist Sheryl Crow took the stage, helping set the tone for a celebration that blended Hollywood glamour with a time-honored maritime tradition. The highlight came as Princess Cruises officially welcomed its newest godparents, Camilla and Matthew McConaughey, co-founders of Pantalones Organic Tequila, and now part of a legendary tradition that's included icons like Princess Diana, Audrey Hepburn, and Sophia Loren. Known for their warmth and creativity, McConaughey's perfectly capture the Princess Cruises spirit of life well spent, celebrating connection, family, and adventure. The evening built to the ceremonial bottle break, wishing good fortune for the Star Princess and all who will sail aboard her. Guests were treated to a dazzling drone show inspired by the Northern Lights, lighting up the Florida sky in true princess style. At more than 177,000 tons and designed for over 4,000 guests, Star Princess takes luxury at sea to the next level. She features 30 dining and bar venues, next-generation entertainment, and elevated spaces like the Sanctuary Collection, the Dome, and the Arena. Plus Spellbound by Magic Castle, a speakeasy experience created with Hollywood's famed Magic Castle. After debuting in the Mediterranean, the ship now begins her Caribbean season from South Florida, before sailing through the Panama Canal and on to Alaska. From world-class entertainment to unforgettable destinations, Star Princess is charting a bold new course for Princess Cruises. Learn more at princess.com. November is Alzheimer's Awareness Month, a time to shine a light on brain health and early detection. You know, more than 7 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's, and experts say nearly 80% of people would want to know if they were at risk before symptoms start affecting daily life. So joining us today is Academy Award-winning actress Julianne Moore, who's gained powerful insight in Alzheimer's disease through her Oscar-winning role in Still Alice, a movie I absolutely loved. She's here to talk about the Brain Health Matters campaign and why being proactive about our minds is so important. Welcome to the show, Julianne. How are you?
Hi, good morning. I'm fine. How are you?
I am struggling just to wake up, but I'm getting there.
Okay, good.
You're working with Lily on this new Brain Health Matters campaign. Can you tell us what this is all about?
Well, the campaign is really wonderful, actually. It's to encourage people to prioritize their brain health, to talk to their doctors about their risk factors for Alzheimer's, and to ask for a cognitive assessment. Because so often we don't prioritize our brain health. We're used to going for our physicals and getting our blood pressure taken, getting a mammogram, getting a colonoscopy. But the brain is the control center for the entire body. So why shouldn't we have a cognitive assessment when we go for our annual physical as well?
So why do you feel that it's so important to take early action, even when someone feels perfectly healthy?
I think the more you know about your own health, the better off you are, the more you advocate for yourself. As you just said, I think you just named the statistic that, 4 out of 5 people would like to know if they had Alzheimer's before symptoms started so that they could do something about it. And there are physical things that you can do that may mitigate symptoms. I mean, certainly there's a huge correlation between physical health and brain health. Sleep, exercise, diet, social engagement, learning something new, staying active, all of those things contribute to a healthy brain.
And you won an Oscar for Still Alice. I love that movie. It's a film that deeply explored Alzheimer's disease. How did that experience change your understanding of the condition?
Well, it's interesting that you said it deeply explored Alzheimer's disease, because what was really unusual about it was that it deeply explored Alzheimer's disease from the perspective of the person with the disease. So often we see these stories kind of told from an outsider's point of view, but this one put a person at the center of it. And really, I think for the person who wrote the book upon which the movie was based made the character younger. She had her have early onset, because so often people think that Alzheimer's is simply a condition of aging, that it's not a disease, when in fact it is a disease. So she really wanted to show the progression of the disease, and that it's not just about memory loss, but about function. And can change things like, our personality, our relationships to others, our ability to function throughout our life. So that was what was so unusual about the film.
And on a personal note, what do you think you do to take care of your own brain health?
I exercise. I do a lot of yoga. I eat pretty well. I try to learn new things. I try to make sure that I feel stimulated, and that even walking a different way, using a different hand when you're writing or eating, anything that you can do that breaks up your routine is going to be stimulating for your brain.
Are there any projects or anything that you're working on lately that you could talk about?
I made a movie earlier this year with Jesse Eisenberg where I sang, and that was certainly very stimulating.
How did that go for you?
It was great. It was really, really fun. But one of the great things about being an actor is that you are challenged by new things all the time. So often the character will do something that you have no idea how to do, and suddenly you'll find yourself taking piano lessons, or learning how to rock climb, or doing something completely different. And so I think that's one of the things I love the most about what I do.
All right. And finally, where can our viewers go to learn more about helpful resources for Alzheimer's and maybe some brain health?
There is a wonderful website, brainhealthmatters.com, and you can go there for more information.
Hey, you are a hero. I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. So nice to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you for tuning in and checking out New Mexico Rising. If you want to be on our show, email us at newmexicorising@gmail.com or visit our website at newmexicorising.com. Be sure to follow us on social media on Instagram and Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at New Mexico Rising. That was our show, New Mexico Rising. You take care, and we'll see you next week.